Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to a new video. So the new patch just dropped. It is called U Impact. So I don't normally do videos like this covering the patch notes, but I figured a lot of my subscribers would like this as the world champion, giving my analysis on the patch, what to expect. And of course there will be a tier list video in a couple of days. If you want me to do more content like this, if you enjoy it, make sure to subscribe. Let me know. If this video does well, I'll do more content like this. If it does not, then I won't. It's that simple. So yeah, let us look at this. So huge changes. They reworked Ho-Oh, so we'll get into that. I have some gameplay to show you guys about the reworked Ho-Oh. But yeah, this is just the first of many updates I think this week, as it's the anniversary week. So this is the balance changes. Might be the balance changes going into Worlds. Many of you know Worlds will be next month, and Luminosity will be competing in it. So first buff here we have is Charizard. So it's important to keep in mind, so like what these mean, if you don't know, is like this is its defense at like level 1 and then all the way to like level 15. And so most of the games you're going to be like level 12 or 13, so it's not actually a 50 defense buff at like the max level. It's probably going to be more like a 35 40 depending on what level you are in the game. So keep in mind these defense buffs are going to be looking a little bigger than they actually will be in game for you, but adding bulk is obviously going to be a nice buff. For context, Rescue It and Focus Man give you like 20 of each defense stat, so this is like having that extra item stats there, so that's really nice. So basic attack, additional damage to burned opponents. Burst Flame, no change. Flamethrower, 100% increase. Fire Punch, 100% increase. Unite moves, Seismic Slam, no change. So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to implement this with ratios and stuff, but basically you're going to see increased damage while using these moves. I'm not sure if it's on the basic attack or just the moves themselves, because it says basic attack here, but like what I'm thinking off of this description is when your Flamethrower burns them, you either get a 100% increase in your basic attacks after when you're hitting them with it, or just like 100% increase in damage to the burn damage when they get burned. So it's worded really weirdly here, so we'll see. But I think both of these are like small buffs to Charizard, not the biggest buffs. Flamethrower damage 10% increase, another small buff. Flamethrower plus burn damage 20% increase. So and they give the little thoughts here. The additional basic attack damage dealt to burn opponents was set lower for some moves. This has been standardized to higher damage value. Charizard's durability has been increased to match other all-rounders, creating more opportunities to aggressive play. Basic attack damage dealt to burn opponents was set lower for some move. Yeah, so it looks like this will be basic attacks. So that'll be definitely interesting. Like, I can't really, like, even though it says 100% increase, the way like math works in this game with moves hitting, it's hard to tell like how big of a buff this is to the basic attack damage until we actually see it in game, and like UniteDB.com does like the ratios and stuff for us. But definitely really interesting changes. These are all small buffs but all together I think this is a huge buff to Charizard. I definitely think it's gonna elevate it to kind of a meta Pokemon. For those of you that don't know, we were probably the only team to play this Pokemon, Charizard, in a tournament in the last few patches. So at NEIC we were playing Charizard, and it had a 1% 2% pick rate from Overlord playing it and no other teams. So Gyarados also got a buff. This is no surprise here because it was getting the battle pass skin, the next battle pass, so a lot of people predicted it would get buffed. However, I actually think these are very small buffs, so it got a similar change to Charizard, although you'll see here I think it's they buffed the special defense a lot on Charizard, and here they didn't so much on Gyarados. So definitely interesting. But the bounce increase is nice for like the shield duration, how long it lasts. That actually does affect a lot of stuff. But most of the buffs were to Aqua Tail, and the thing is Aqua Tail is really bad as a move. So I doubt this will change unless it gets like reworked or it has like huge damage numbers. But these are not enough buffs to make Aqua Tail good, I think. So you still want to go the other moves, and I just think Gyarados is not very, like, it's extremely bad right now, and I don't think this is enough to elevate it higher in the meta. So Honestly, I expected Gyarados to be meta again, but I think with these buffs, it will not be at the top of the meta. Obviously, you can still play in ladder decently well, but I think in competitive, it's not going to be viable, really. So these are the big ones. So they changed Ho-Oh, and I'm just going to show you guys the gameplay first. Shout out to this channel, Pikazu, for giving us, getting this gameplay out of the Ho-Oh so fast. And this is from Chinese version, so it's not out in the game yet, but they're reworking it to how the Chinese version is. So this is the old Fly, like for people that don't know how it works. And they're completely removing Fly for this new move, Sacred Fire. And so it still puts you in the air, so you can see like the Fly mechanic of going in the air, being able to go over walls. They don't really show going over walls, unfortunately, in this video, but you're still going to be able to go over walls, I'm pretty sure. But now you're shooting a very like small, well, not small, but like the range of it is small, but the actual like radius is huge, you know. So like it doesn't go very far, but it's a huge radius of the move, and it stuns you. So you can see it's stunning him right there. And what I really like about this Ho-Oh rework is it gave it stuns. That was my biggest complaint about Ho-Oh before, was it didn't have stuns. And they also reworked Fire Spin to now stun. So this was old Fire Spin, didn't stun at all. And now this is the new Fire Spin, and you'll see it stuns right there. You can see the stun animation. Oh, they show it actually stunning on another person. So I love this because my biggest complaint about Ho as a defender was it didn't have stuns, and that's why you haven't really seen it in competitive play as soon as they like balanced it. When it first came out, they did a couple buffs that made it really broken, so you were seeing it played. But like if it's not like really broken with its stats, like its kit is not good to be played, because like you just want to stun if you're playing a defender. And so the difference, another big difference, is the cooldown is going to become 12 seconds. This is one of the longest cooldowns in the game. I think this and Fly are like the longest like basic cooldown moves in the game, which is insanely long. But to be fair, like Sacred Fire seems pretty broken. It does a lot of things. It does like a damage burst that will stun them. We already talked about that. It puts you in the air still, and it increases your movement speed and attack as well. And then it also gives you boosted attacks, 3 boosted attacks to use. So it does a lot of stuff so to warrant its like really long cooldown. So that'll be interesting. I think you have to play around this long cooldown a lot, but I think this move will be really, really broken. Obviously, like they don't really talk about how much damage it'll do here, so we'll have to see how much damage it does and all that stuff, and like how long the stuns are. But I predict that this will be pretty broken. But also, even if this isn't broken, I think the change to Fire Spin, they did nerf the damage by 10%, but the change for it to stun is going to be huge, and you're going to be seeing Ho-Oh as a competitive staple. You're going to be seeing me playing Ho-Oh a lot more on stream. I'm probably going to hard grind Ho-Oh now after this patch, and I'm going to try both moves out. But if I had to guess, Sacred Fire will probably be better than Fire Spin, unless it's like crazy low damage numbers. So really interesting Ho-Oh change. I think I actually mentioned in one of my previous videos that I heard that Ho-Oh might be getting changed, and I was right. So my sources were correct. I might have mentioned that in a past tier list video, I think. So yeah, Gardevoir, huge buff. So they buffed its HP by 400 at the max level. So again, like you're not hitting level 15 every game, so take it with a grain of salt that like there's going to be more of like a 200 to 300 HP buff like at the higher levels. But obviously any added bulk is always going to be nice. Just keep in mind these numbers are going to be smaller than you think. And huge defense and special defense buff compared to like these ones. So they're buffing it by way more. This is like around 60. And this is around 60, I believe, as well. Okay, no, they're both like 55, but it's still like really big. And then they buff Psyshock. It's like nerfs it does to enemy Pokemon, I believe, by 5%. And they give Moonblast plus a bigger shield. So I personally don't think these buffs will, like, I don't think these are huge massive buffs, but I think with like meta changes, a lot of these Pokemon getting buffed like Charizard and Ho, I think Gardevoir is pretty good into. just because Gardevoir is good into like more stationary targets that don't have dashes, and Charizard, if you're running like the Flamethrower, Fire Blast build, you don't have like dashes to run away. Same with Ho-Oh, like Flamethrower is the better move, so you don't like have dashes to run away with those movesets necessarily. So Gardevoir will be pretty good into them. So I think with these buffs and a meta shift, you could see a lot more Gardevoir. I don't think these are the biggest buffs, but it's definitely really nice, and you could see Gardevoir being competitively viable. This is one I'm not sure on, but in solo queue, it'll definitely feel a lot better, And so they just did some small buffs to Crustle as well, just durability buffs, which will be really nice. And they finally fixed the bug that's been there for months. So you haven't seen Crustle in competitive play really because of this bug. But now you'll see it a lot more in competitive play. It always counters like stationary targets. So for example, if Gardevoir is really good, Crustle is very good into Gardevoir. Because you can wall behind her and she has no dashes to run out of the wall. And so you're definitely going to see a lot more Crustle. This definitely feels like the Defender patch, because Ho-Oh, Crustle, Slowbro, Snorlax, you just see a bunch of changes here, and they're nerfing supports. So I feel like they've been looking at competitive play with defenders playing supports. Like you've seen me play like Psyduck and Hoopa in tournaments over defenders, and they're like, hey, we need to buff defenders, which I'm very happy about, because I'd prefer to be a defender every game. I only play supports because I think they're very, very broken. But yeah, Slowbro just got some small buffs here. Very small buffs. These two are very small buffs. The HP buff is going to be very nice, but it's very small as well. It's like 400 at level 15, which on defenders, the HP buff matters even less because you're going to be like level 11, level 12. So it's going to be like a 1 to 200 HP buff realistically, but it's still nice to have. And then they buff Scald. This is like the biggest buff, I'd say, damage wise, but they actually did a big buff in the bug fixes. So right here, fixed a bug where some moves would not hit an opposing Pokemon that was in the air due to Slowbro's telekinesis. And so before, when you use telekinesis on Slowbro, it was actually like really bad and competitive, because your Mimikyu, like I know one thing that we would do a lot was like the Mimikyu Shadow Sneak would try to hit them and it would miss or something, or like some other moves would miss because telekinesis put them in the air, and that is no longer going to happen now, which is a really big buff, because that made telekinesis kind of a bad move in competitive. Now you're going to see it a lot more, because I think telekinesis is actually a really good move just on paper. And this like bug, which I didn't even know was a bug, I just thought it was like kind of with the move, was making it really bad. So I think that is the biggest buff to Slowbro they did here. But the 10% increase on the skull damage is really big. The reason buffs like this are a lot bigger than people realize is because defender relies on their secure in the laning phase. So that first 3 minutes, how good your secure is really important for getting that last on the farm in the lane. That is so important at a high level, even in solo queue, giving you a better secure as well to steal objectives as well. There's been so many Slowbros stealing objectives with Scalds in the past, and I think you'll see that a lot more. So I do think these are some big Slowbro buffs as well. Now, Snorlax got some defense buffs as well. So you'll notice like with all the defenders, they've been buffing their defense and special defense stats. I think they just want defenders to feel more of a bulky front line. I don't know if they talked about that anywhere. I haven't really been reading these descriptions. But yeah, so they also buffed Tackle, so they're buffing Snorlax's early game, but they're nerfing his late game. 20% decrease to Heavy Slam is pretty huge. Again, I just explained with Scald why that's important. So I actually think even though Snorlax got these two buffs, it is an overall nerf to Snorlax. A pretty sizable nerf, honestly, especially with these other defenders getting buffed. Snorlax, if you saw my last tier list, was the best defender by far. And now I think that it's going to be more like you pick whatever defender suits your needs, which I do think is how it should be. So I do like these changes. Obviously, it's a little sad since I was debatably like the best Snorlax in the world. We played it a lot this season, so Snorlax getting nerfed. Is it good for our team? We'll see. But I am excited to be able to play other defenders now instead of being stuck on Snorlax duty all the time. And so, who would have seen this coming? They nerfed Alcremie. I'm not surprised at all. They hard nerfed the Decorate and Dazzling Gleam moveset. These nerfs look like it's going to kill it. I'm not going to lie. 2-second nerf on how long the shield lasts. 25% decrease is probably the biggest nerf 12% decrease on damage was very needed. But this is gonna almost kill it, I'm not gonna lie, on this moveset. But the Unite move was barely touched, and so was the Recover moveset. And I think the Recover moveset is still insanely broken. So I think overall, Alcremie will still be a top staple meta pick. I do think like nerfing this moveset was really good, though. The heal moveset's going to be a lot less toxic for the game environment. This moveset was doing way too much damage, way too much stuns. So I really like these changes. Should Recover have gotten nerfed, or the Unite move should have gotten nerfed more? Probably. But we'll see, because people start to see now that like Alcremie's early game is like pretty bad at a high level. So it might be able to be punished now in competitive. Before, the early game was bad, but once you hit that level 4 and level 6 power spike with a Decorate Dazzling, they're so broken that you just completely like negate the bad early game. Even if you're behind, these moves let you come back in the game very easily. But now that's not the case. Now you need to kind of try to focus on enabling that early game more so you don't get too far behind. And then hopefully that Recover moveset will be good after that. But yeah, I think Alcremie will be in an interesting spot. By the most coordinated teams, it will probably be looking broken, but I don't think that a lot like lesser tier teams would be able to pull it off. It'll definitely still be broken in solo queue though, if I had to guess. So Tsareena got some interesting changes because they nerfed Triple Axle and they nerfed the Unite move, very small nerfs, and then they buffed Stomp. So I think the Stomp buff is interesting because it was a bigger buff than both these nerfs, but this nerf to the Unite move is going to be like really important, I think, because the Unite move is such a staple part of Tsareena that made it so good. So I'm honestly not sure if this is going to be an overall buff or nerf to Tsareena. I think overall it's going to be a nerf, and it's going to be a little worse, and it's already falling off in the meta. But the thing is that Stomp has a lot better matchups than Triple Axle when it's good. So like I think into this meta, like Stomp Tsareena is going to be a lot better. And so because of this buff right here, you could be seeing Tsareena a lot more in competitive, especially by Japan. They love this Pokemon. And so yeah, I actually changed my mind. I think this is overall a slight buff to Tsareena, just because Stomp is a better move than Triple Axle. It has those stuns, it has that secure. So when Stomp is good, it's going to make Tsareena a lot better than when Triple Axle is good. So Clefable got some much needed nerfs. This thing was a monster in solo queue. It was terrorizing solo queue, and it was very good in competitives. These are overall small nerfs. I think this is the biggest nerf. 11% increase to Unite move. This is like a big deal because it's not going to be able to Unite move as late or like cycle as many Unite moves throughout the game. But I think it was necessary. I still think Clef will be pretty decent. You know, like the 0.5 second nerf to Moonlight is not really going to matter much, I think. So Clef will still be good, but it won't be the monster it was before. I do think like these are solid changes. Like if they were going to nerf Clef, I wouldn't want it to be the biggest nerfs. So I really like that it's not like the biggest nerfs. And I think it'll have a solid place in the meta. So they nerfed Garchomp a lot, thank God. Just because I'm a little biased, I hate when Garchomp's meta. I do not like this Pokemon. It is very like no skill at the highest level. Probably one of the most no skill Pokemon a lower tier team can play, in my opinion. Like I've been telling people that I'm coaching on like other teams, or like when I give them advice, I'm like just main Garchomp. If you want to beat like top tier teams, just main Garchomp, because this mon can make any game a 50-50. So I really love these nerfs. They definitely butchered a lot of names here if you don't notice. But I think like these nerfs are really good, and like Garchomp was already in a precarious spot in the meta where like it was barely good, I think. And so I think these nerfs will kill it. Like obviously you'll still see it sometimes in competitive because it still has that power with its Unite move, which wasn't nerfed. But I think this will make its like early game so abysmal that you'll see it a lot less, and it's gonna move it down a lot of tiers, I think. Now the Cinderace nerf is interesting because I don't think Cinderace was that strong, but they hard nerfed Blaze Kick, so they nerfed the cooldown, and this Blaze Kick plus nerf is actually huge. Attack speed increase after use 65% to 45% on Blaze Kick plus. These are big Blaze Kick nerfs, but I still think the Pyro Ball Feint set was actually, personally, I thought that move set was better than Blaze Kick, personally, and so that wasn't touched. So I think you'll actually, like, a lot of people might not know this, but I think you'll see Cinderace in the hold on, I need to fix this music. You'll actually see Cinderace played a lot at Worlds, more than you would have thought. And so Inteleon next, this is a huge rework as well. These are like the two biggest changes of the patch, I'd say. This Inteleon rework is insane. So this, like, these nerfs, Sobble 3-to-1 crit counters, if you don't know how Intel works, it's basically gonna make it do a third of the damage it was before. Like, you can just look at this going from 3-to-1 and be like, it's doing a third of the damage it was before early game. This is 1 through 4. Once it hits 5, this Drizzile nerf is huge too. This is gonna, like, make the damage it does way less as well. And then Inteleon did not get changed, but basically, like, Intel was a staple pick in competitive, and they actually talk about that here. Adjustments for the competitive environment. To create a battle environment where a greater variety of Pokemon can be active in tournaments, adjustments have been made on the Pokemon. So the theme with Intel was it had such a strong early game and late game that it was a staple pick for so long, because you, like, if you can hard win the early game and you scale the late game, like, why wouldn't you want to pick that Pokemon, right? And it did so many things well. But they're nerfing the early game with this change, which is going to be a huge change for Intel. And then Felsteiner changed to be able to interrupt movement with the strong hindrance effect. So this is worded really weird, but if we read the description, and then, okay, they don't talk about Felsteiner, but we're pretty sure this means that you can't buffer stuns anymore. So for example, when I'm like Snorlax heavy slamming on an Inteleon, they could Felsteiner away like last second, and if the Felsteiner connects to the wall behind them, they'll dash away even though they got stunned. I believe what this change means is that when you get stunned, you no longer dash away. You'll be stuck there and your Felsteiner doesn't go off. And if that's true, I think this change single-handedly will kill Intel. I think this will kill Intel along with these changes. It will be like really bad to play in competitive environment. It's gonna be like more like Decidueye now as a pick, I believe. So yeah, if this is true, like, this is a huge nerf. And then on top of that, they're already nerfing Snipe Shot as well. They did buff the Acrobatics moveset, so maybe you'll see Acrobatics Liquidation more. But again, the early game got nerfed, so I'm honestly not sure. But I could see the Acrobatics Liquidation moveset being potentially good. That's a question mark for me. But the Snipe Shot moveset, this got completely killed. You're not going to see this in competitive anymore. And so Psyduck got much needed nerfs again. And I feel like it's just been nerf. But they nerfed like how big the Psychic is to stun people. It's funny they called it Psyshock. It's definitely Psychic. I do think this is a pretty big nerf because, like, guaranteed stuns before from like slowing Pokemon are no longer going to be guaranteed because they'll be able to walk out of the radius in time when they were slowed before. It'll be a lot easier to dodge this move for sure, which I like. This kind of change is making the game more skill based, which I really like as a pro player. And then they're nerfing, what this nerf is essentially nerfing the stun lock you could do with Psyduck. So you could spam like 4 surfs in a row with your Headache active before, and now you can no longer do that, is what I'm thinking. So these are some huge nerfs to Surf. Actually, I think this is gonna make Surf a lot worse at a competitive level. And then the Psychic nerf is also pretty big, so I think Psyduck's gonna be a lot worse. I think you'll still be seeing it picked a lot. It'll still be a good pick in the meta, but it's not gonna be like, it's been a top like 5 to 10 Pokemon for a while now. It's just gonna fall down to like kind of like a good Pokemon, but I don't think it'll be at those top levels anymore. But again, the Unite move is very broken because it reduced damage, and that was untouched. So Hoopa, this nerf to Phantom Force is honestly pretty big. 1.5 second nerf is gonna make Trick Hoopa like way worse. I think this completely kills Trick Phantom Force, and they already nerfed Trick Shadow Ball a couple patches ago. So I think Trick is completely killed now. They also nerfed Trick last patch, so they really hate seeing Trick in competitive. I don't know, man. So I think it's killed. I think it's overall good. I did not like Trick being like a staple meta thing, I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of toxic for players that don't really know how it works, you know. For a casual player, facing Trick is like very bad. Like, it's not fun. So I personally like this for the game. Will this kill Hoopa? Probably not. I think the Phantom Force Portal will still be good. So I don't think this will kill Hoopa at all. But yeah, you're probably gonna only see Portal Hoopa now and no Trick. But you're already seeing more Portal in the West at least, so I just think you'll see a lot more Portal. And they talk about bug fixes. Some of these I didn't even know were in the game, I'm not gonna lie. But the big one is the Galarian Rapidash bug fixes. So Galarian Rapidash has been very strong in the meta, and it was actually banned because of these bugs. And so they finally fixed these bugs. So you were getting like multiple dashes with its Unite move when you shouldn't have before, because you're supposed to go back in the mysterious space to get it. And so that was a bug that was making it extremely strong, because those dashes do so much damage. This is also a huge interaction change with Fairy Wind and Clefable Gravity as well. So I think this is a huge nerf to Rapidash. I think it'll still be good, obviously. But it was like honestly probably top 3 Pokemon right now, and it's gonna fall down to like maybe top 5 or top 10. And a bunch of other small balance changes as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. If I had to do big winners and losers, because I know Spraggles does that for some videos, I'd say the big winners of this patch are definitely Ho-Oh, Charizard. If I had to put the top 3 winners, it'd be Ho-Oh, Charizard, and I'd say Slowbro. Ho-Oh, Charizard, Slowbro are the big winners. The big losers of the patch are I'd say Garchomp number 1, Psyduck number 2, and then probably I don't want to say Alcremie because it's still such a good moveset. I'd probably say Cinderace. Those 3 are the big losers of the patch. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.